Welcome to the pilot episode of the Infectious Groove Podcast, recorded just north of Detroit, Michigan at the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center and Speakeasy. My name is Russ, along with me is Kyle. We are getting ready to undertake something that's been a couple of years in the works. The general purpose of the podcast is to spread the love of music, which I've told people for years. I feel like I'm one of the best salespeople for music that there is, but I'm constantly hampered by the people who supply the product, because they're the ones that want to put the copyright laws in the way of you trying to spread music with everyone. And I understand that there's intellectual property and whatnot that they got to protect, but our main focus here, for anybody that happens to be listening, whether it's a music fan or someone from the industry or an artist, we are not looking to give out music. We are not looking to give anything away by any means. At the end of the day, all we want is for the way we feel about music to be infectious, and for people to go out and say, oh, wow, I never heard of that artist, or I didn't see that concert, or I've never heard that song, and go pick it up for themselves. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we're going to do. We're going to get into a little bit more introductions about ourselves and go on a little bit about what we're going to do in the future. But, for a long time, recorded music and live performance has had a profound impact on me. I've wanted to do this podcast for at least a couple of years now, because I wanted everybody to know how I feel about certain artists. And one thing I don't want to do in the future, I very much want to do a lot of best ofs, a lot of underrated things. I think there's a lot more cachet in that than there is top worst or overrated.
Absolutely.
Everybody on the internet's got an opinion about something that's negative. You can't create any content at all without people telling you what sucks. I would rather bring focus to things that maybe artists people haven't heard of, or songs people haven't heard of. It was a month ago or so, you and I were sitting down here listening to the Fugees, The Score. And as much as that record gets played front to back, it played Cowboys for you off of that. I remember you just being like, well, this is mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
I would rather do that than say, oh, Jesus, don't play, Killing Me Softly. That's beat to death. You know what I mean? I would rather...
I completely agree.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Just so everybody understands what it is that what we're trying to do. In this episode, we're going to, like I say, we're going to get it into a little bit of introduction with each other. We're going to talk, going forward, we're going to have kind of a main topic for each episode. This one, we're going to kind of have what I would call a mini topic, just about how people consume music these days, and then we'll go on a little bit about what we're going to do in the future. So far, I don't think we have any shortage of topics for episodes.
There's
just the other day, sitting down and putting the word best into everything, I was able to come up with about a half a year of topics for us. So, but the idea is that we're going to share our enthusiasm, and we're going to play some tracks, hopefully get away with it. Ultimately, the idea is that the listeners would seek out more of the music through the usual channels, which we'll get into in a little bit. As our schedule allows, we do plan to have more folks on, starting off obviously with friends and family. We do have some connections to some artists that are out there, like the intro and outro music that we use for the episode was graciously provided to us by Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who I in my opinion is the most talented guitar player alive today. And the guy just said kindly, hey, I believe in what you're going to do. Let you use this music. So we're going to see if we can bug him into coming on. See if we can get him on here talking about Sons of Apollo, his solo efforts, all the different charities that he's involved in, the clinics that he does. Literally, there's times where I'll go to shoot Bumblefoot a text, and right before I hit send, I have to think, is he in Indonesia this week? So we'll see if we can catch up to him. We have some friends in a band called the Lone Bellow that we are very fortunate to know. You talk about Infectious Groove, they're laying it down. Those are the people. They're actually the people probably in the last 3 or 4 years. How long ago did we come into them? 5 years? 5, 6 years? And we've seen them, 3 or 4 times since then?
My spreadsheet.
Yeah. But these folks are a good example of the type of people that we are looking to promote. That is not to say we're going to shy away from mainstream commercial artists. There's no reason not to. There is no reason to do that, rather, I should say. But I really think it's important that we push younger folks. One of the things you hear almost constantly is there's no good X out there. X being rock music, rap music, metal.
It's always a lie. That's
yeah,
a lie.
yeah. And, I wouldn't call the Lone Bellow a country act, but that's the number one thing I hear from people is, there's no good country anymore. Wrong. You're not looking for it, Yeah. So, which I think circles back to what I was talking about wanting to be positive. We could make this I don't like X country act show.
There could be, every episode could be about that.
Yeah, but what's the point? I mean, there's plenty of music acts I don't like, but who cares? Worst case scenario for me on this show would be us talking passionately about an artist or a song, someone listening to it, and in 30 seconds of the song going, that's not my cup of tea. That's the worst scenario that can come out of this, in my opinion. Best case scenario, they play it, 2 or 3 times, and Spotify gives them their 14 cents to split between the 4 band members or whatever it is. I probably didn't make any friends with that comment, but
it's not very much.
I also don't have any ads to read yet, though. So
probably pretty accurate on that number.
Not like I was going to tag Spam's name on that comment. Right after I insult Spotify, Spam, you buy it at your local grocery store. So anyways, so I wanted to make clear that that's what we're looking to do. I do want to try and do song breaks. We're going to see how that works with copyright. We do have a way around that in the future if we can't just play song breaks. But for the very first song break on the very first episode, it's very important to me to include the Lone Bellow in this because, as I said, they're a newer act. They could use it. They're certainly doing great, but they could certainly use the encouragement and have other people point them out. And it's important to me that the members of the Lone Bellow have actually spoken to us and said, "Why aren't you guys doing a podcast?" So I'd be more than happy to return the favor, quote unquote. So having said that, we're going to go ahead and play their latest single. It's actually just came out, I want to say today's, it would have been 3 or 4 days ago. It's called Good Times. It's off their next record, Half Moon Light, which is going to be in stores here in another couple of weeks, first week of February, that's going to be out. So we'll go ahead and kick things off first song with Lone Bellow and Good Times. Please make sure to look this song up on your favorite streaming service as it has been removed to avoid copyright issues. The Lone Bellow and Good Times from their forthcoming record, Half Moon Light, in stores on the 7th February, so just a little while longer to wait for that. If you want to hear more Lone Bellow, this is their 4th record, so they actually have 3 before this. If you want to look into some of the things they've done before, I think my favorite record of theirs is their 2nd album. First and third are fantastic as well, and I'm very much looking forward to this new one. So having said that, we want to get into a little bit of introductions about us personally. We told you a little bit about the podcast and what it is that we're looking to do with it. Thought we'd talk a little bit about ourselves. One of us made notes, the other did not. I don't want to name names, but it was me that made the notes.
Talking about yourself is weird, man. I don't know.
Could be about 30 seconds to a minute on me and 4 to 10 seconds on Kyle. We'll find out in just a couple of seconds here. Should do another break to keep people in suspense. So having said that, we are doing this podcast here from just north of Detroit. That is where I'm from. I'm originally from about an hour north of here, but the love of music was huge in my family. First album I ever bought, not with my own money by any means because I was 3, but I bought Elvis Live at Madison Square Garden. And I'm sure we'll get into it in a future episode, but I think that record has a lot to do with why I liked so many different genres growing up. My folks were really, I don't want to say eclectic, but they liked a lot of different things. Like eclectic to me would be, if they were into like deep into jazz or whatever, but my folks would listen to Hank Williams as much as they would Elvis, as much as they would Simon and Garfunkel, so again, not eclectic's not the right word, but varied tastes, my older brothers and sister really took the rest of it, Nugent, Zeppelin, all that. Pretty much the only thing nobody was into but me was Pink Floyd. My family's super stoked that I'm the only guy who likes Pink Floyd to the level that I do, and we're probably going to cover Floyd a great deal on this show, which to some folks will be informative, to others will put them to sleep. So we'll see how the numbers come in on those episodes. The only real unique thing that I think I brought to the table, music listening wise, and it would have just been because of the time, was I was the first person in my family that was into rap. Obviously, having had it not exist really in the mainstream prior to 82 or so. And by mainstream, I mean I grew up in Clarkston, so it didn't get there till 82. Before anybody leaves a comment or gets all upset about Sugar Hill Gang and KRS-One and everybody from the New York City boroughs. Far before that, I wasn't in the New York City boroughs, so I didn't catch it until Run DMC's third album or so. And I got a lot of pushback when I was a kid. My older brothers, again, they were into Zeppelin and Aerosmith and at the time Rat and Poison and whatever. And here I come walking along, taking my brother's Shout at the Devil cassette out so I can put in Run DMC's Raising Hell, and he was just not having it, But, my next oldest brother is now one of the biggest Eminem fans that I know, My brother-in-law actually once told me that rap would never be played in his house. I brought a Run DMC CD over, and he made it clear that rap music would never come out of his stereo. And the same guy sat down here 2 weeks ago and pulled an Eminem album out from my vinyl to play. So,
that's how it should be.
Yeah, I think that's my claim to fame. Like, that's what I brought to it. My mom brought the Elvis love. My dad really liked country, what I call country, Cash, Haggard, all that. And my older brothers were really into anything rock. And my sister, the first time I heard Rush or Sabbath actually was my sister going, hey, you need to hear this. And you feel like you're in trouble with the Lord for listening to Sabbath, the first time you hear them. So, but sharing a love for music is something that's that I'm very passionate about. I used to very much tell people all the time that they were just wrong if they disagreed with me about any type of music. And we have our social media manager is in the room looking at me as if I'm and saying she's never heard that before. But yes, there was a time, and this was ages ago before I learned to be the super agreeable person I am now. But I used to, I used to just flat out tell people they were, you're just wrong if you don't like what I like. And I think in the introduction of the podcast, you can see there's quite a shift. Now it's, if you like what you like, I like what I like. I'm certainly going to make a case for what I like because it brings me joy. I'd love to see it bring you joy, But
I'm pretty sure you would fight somebody over music.
Okay, so we can get into this in the future, but I would fight someone over if someone was to say something about an artist who can't defend themselves. And I'm sure a greater majority of anybody who knows us well enough to know to be listening to this episode is probably going Michael Jackson out loud.
Oh, yeah.
But not even him. Anybody really, if there's a lot of people that say things about Sinatra that are like someone told someone else, and now it's just common fact, so I don't know if I'd fight someone over that, but like if somebody wants to say something as fact and it's a reason not to listen to their art or something along those lines, like I could get heated real quick. That's for sure. I don't know. I might still have it in me to throw a punch. We'd see. We'll circle back to that in just a few seconds. So, but anyways, that's a little bit about me. I'm going to pass it over to Kyle with his extensive notes. And, truth be told, dude, we have only known each other for a short period of time.
That is true.
I think that you're definitely open to listening to anything. So
I will listen to anything once or twice.
So tell us a little bit about your story, man.
I grew up a little farther from the Detroit area, Ann Arbor. Outskirts of Ann Arbor. I'm the oldest of two siblings, so I didn't have older brothers and sisters to influence me with what they were listening to or any of that kind of stuff. So I literally just relied on my parents.
You had to make the waves yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, and your folks, yeah.
Yeah, and my mom was big into Elvis and AC/DC.
Natural combination.
That kind of stuff. My dad was, anything that was on like rock radio stations, he listened to, all of that. Huge Pink Floyd fan.
Never heard him.
Huh?
Never heard him. I'm going to look into that band when we're done.
So I got a little bit of all of that together, and I did, you know what? I don't think that they owned, this is embarrassing to say, I don't think that they owned any records when I was growing up. It was all just cassettes, and then I went to CDs. Yeah.
That leads into our next topic, actually, but we'll come back to that. It's how people consume music is definitely
so it's
shifted.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that now that the whole thing is coming back again, and everyone is, whatever.
Yep.
But, the first album that I recall getting my hands on myself, to put in my CD book or whatever, I had all my mom's cassette tapes that she would let me have after, whatever she was done with them. It was Puff Daddy and the Family. what was that album name?
Is it the one where Puff Daddy sampled someone else's song and had a gigantic hit?
It's called No Way Out.
Okay, yeah. It's like a whitish cover.
Yeah, it was their first. I'll Be Missing You, I think, or I don't know. I can't.
I think it is.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Well, this is a perfect time to promote social media. Everyone who's listening to this and raging that we don't know that, leave that comment. Because I know, and this is part of it, is I know that if I was listening to this right now, I would be hitting my steering wheel going, how do you not know that?
And the only reason I don't know that is because I haven't listened to that album in ages. I had it on CD, and it was the edited version.
You probably heard it enough when it was around, man. That stuff was nonstop.
And so back then, you were a part of those weird CD clubs, and you got all those weird CDs and
12 CDs for a penny.
Oh yeah, the beginning of Pyramid
Jesus knows you still owe for those CDs.
So I happened to talk my mom into getting the edited version of that album. So I played it front to back constantly all the time, and that's what I was heavy into at that time. As time went on, I got much heavier into metal, like Slipknot and Slayer and all that kind of stuff.
So mostly Christian metal.
Yes.
It's funny though. I literally
only Evanescence
for the listeners of this. I joked about us not being so prepared for this, but it's funny because the Puff Daddy thing, in many ways, is similar to the first record that I listened to, the Elvis thing. Because while Elvis was doing covers, Puff Daddy was using so many samples that when you probably heard that record, you're thinking, oh, this is amazing and original. And then, of course, like anything, someone had to come up to you and be like, well, that song's really this song, right? And it leads you down that path, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It wasn't until I got much older where now I obsessively go on whosampled.com and
I just recently heard about that.
I go on there and you just type in any artist and it shows you every sample that they use on every track that they've that's been submitted to them by whoever, and it's amazing.
And the biggest link is the James Brown one by far, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
everyone who's ever sampled anyone has sampled James Brown.
Kanye West is a great example. There's literally 15 samples in every song that he does. Mm-hmm. The smallest amount of a sample, or a huge part of a sample. Yeah, and to me, that's incredible to be able to I don't know. It's crazy to me.
As far as the art of sampling,
yeah,
you mean, yeah,
oh yeah.
And we can there's different layers to that, and it's definitely that's at least the 27th topic that I don't have on our sheet for episodes. Is there's some people who are dead set against it. No matter what, you're ripping somebody else off, and I make that joke, but to me, I can't resist stopping off on this for a second. But to me, there's a difference between what Puffy was doing and what, say, Kid Rock does on All Summer Long, or what Shaggy did for 90% of his career.
Oh, yeah.
What Puffy would do is he would take the hook from something and make something new.
Yeah.
Shaggy would take the melody from Angel in the Morning, put it to the beat of the Joker, and have the nerve to go, look, I made a hit. No, you did not. Juice Newton and Steve Miller made a hit, and then you said some things over it in your weird voice, and it was a huge hit.
The weird voice that is not his authentic voice, by the way, which is even stranger. But
we're blowing the doors off of things here. People are going to Google that right now.
I encourage anyone listening who is younger to Google Shaggy and listen to all of his music, because
the collected works of Shaggy.
Just all of them, and then listen to an interview with him talking about how he sounds nothing like what he sounds like on the record.
Sure. First of all, and I joke, but without having any notes, that was great. Real good, background on, what got you here. This is a total curveball that I did not tell you I was going to ask you, but who's the newest artist that you got turned on to that you just were, blown away by?
Oh, man.
From any genre, really.
When I met Michelle, a bunch of stuff that I'd never heard of.
She's a terrible singer.
Which I guess we can attribute the what she knows to what you know.
All right, oh boy.
So,
just to be clear, our social media director gets all of her music knowledge from me. Go on.
So, one of my favorites, I would say, is George Ezra.
Yeah.
I had no idea who it was. Even it was added to one of our playlists, and it played one day, and I was like, "Oh my god!" That is amazing.
Yeah, I came into Ezra through and I could be wrong on this, but he was on I know he was on the Tonight Show, but there was a thing where there was supposed to be another guest a musical guest, and they weren't there for whatever reason, so he was a fill-in. And he did Budapest, and I remember sitting up in bed and being like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And I think he's only got the 2 LPs, right? He doesn't have a third one yet. Yeah, and they're both fantastic.
Yeah, and he's also, I have no idea how old he is, but he looks super young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He does. He looks like 17.
Yeah.
Still. I think I heard of him. I want to say 5-6 years ago, and he still looks 17.
Yeah.
He also looks hammered all the time, which makes my heart happy. So going from a very new artist and a little bit about us, we're going to take another song break. This is most definitely not a new artist. I was going to find a way to work this artist in no matter what. So I do want to spin a Michael Jackson cut. Going to do one of his lesser-known songs from, I think, probably an album nobody knows about called Thriller. It's not. I don't think it really sold a lot, so hopefully we can help him out.
That's everyone's favorite album, though.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. So we're going to break into some Michael Jackson right now, and we'll be back. Please make sure to look this song up on your favorite streaming service, as it has been removed to avoid copyright issues. Michael Jackson, Want to Be Starting Something, from the little-known album Thriller. A lot of people haven't heard that record, so I'm trying to help them out and get some plays. So the one mini topic that we wanted to have for this episode, it was cool because your intro of yourself kind of led into it a little bit, talking about the way people consume music. Mm-hmm. And we touched on this at the beginning. If nothing else from this podcast, if someone listens to this show and listens to one song that we tell them to, or goes back and listens to that Puffy record, or, goes back and says, I never really dug into Sabbath, and he said it was like, and, you get in trouble for listening to that or whatever else, then that's the goal,
Right.
But it's interesting to me that you were talking about how, you grew up in a house with CDs and tapes. And,
I don't recall seeing any records.
Yeah.
Maybe there was when I was little, baby little. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I did not grow up spinning records. My parents didn't spin records that I know of.
It's funny. The era that I grew up in, there was almost too many formats. For real, we had at least 8-track, cassette, and vinyl at least. And it's so funny the different world we live in now, where everybody can play any song on their phone instantly. And I don't mean to sound like grandpa, like back in my day.
But it's crazy now.
But give you an example. We were on the way to Cedar Point one time, and my brother brought his whole thing of cassettes, and he stocked himself up with all of his very best cassettes, for this trip. And we get into the car, and they got an 8-track player. So we're at the disposal of whoever had what. I remember, and again, I reference buying Elvis a lot, but I bought Madison Square Garden on vinyl when I was a kid. And then I bought Elvis in Concert, the CBS special. I bought it on 8-track because at the time we had a car that had an 8-track player.
Right.
Well, get into the mid-'80s and the 8-track goes away. Now I got to rebuy that record on a different format because we don't have anything to play it on anymore. So it was almost like there was too much, in the way of choice at that time.
Now that you mentioned that, I do recall my parents did have some 8-tracks, but we didn't have anything to play them on. It was like they still had the music, but nothing to play it with.
Yep.
So I do recall seeing that stuff laying around the house and whatnot, and being explained to what it was and that it existed before cassette tapes.
It's
and whatnot.
It's crazy to me that 8-track even caught on in the first place. Do you know what the origin of 8-track is? Like why it even existed?
No.
General Motors made it as a selling point for their cars. They were like, you can only use this audio format in our cars. You should buy this car for it. And then it caught on.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, and it would be one of those things where, like, and there's been so many technologies that have come and gone, beta and mini disc and whatever else, that 8-track should be a thing that we're like, can you believe they tried that?
Right, yeah.
But instead it was, any store you walked into, they had as big of an 8-track section as they did CDs or vinyl and cassettes at the time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so anyways, which leads me to the point of how people consume music. It's interesting that you talk about the house being filled with CDs, and I'm sure there was a wall of CDs or that wood CD rack that everybody had with that held them.
Oh, it was plastic, and it was on the wall, and you could fit like 100 CD cases in it, and it was just full.
Yep. Now, nowadays, where do you get your CDs from?
Where can you get CDs?
Exactly.
Maybe on the internet somewhere?
Yeah. You can find CDs hooked up to a defibrillator, maybe.
I do believe that the Best Buy and that's like the only store that's around.
I don't even think they. I think they don't even have packaged media anymore.
The last time I was in a Best Buy, they had like a small, tiny rack of like the brand new albums that came out. And other than that, you couldn't buy anything. Yeah, nothing.
It's funny, my Facebook, and this is going off topic, but my Facebook memories today was from 9 years ago, the latest and probably last Van Halen record came out.
Yeah.
And my Facebook update was, attention Best Buy person, when I walk in and ask where the new Van Halen record is, the correct answer is not who. So the last time I tried to buy a CD from Best Buy, it didn't go very well. Speaking of which, Different Kind of Truth, Van Halen, fantastic record.
Oh, you
Everybody should listen to
can
that.
still buy CDs at what bookstore still exists? Borders?
No. You know, Books A Million sells them. Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble, not Borders.
Barnes & Noble has a huge
Sorry.
vinyl selection now, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so Barnes & Noble, you can still buy CDs there. Last time I was there.
Yeah.
A year ago.
But you're also, okay, so here's how I say when I say consume music, and the way we do it, and I think to a certain extent, everybody does this, maybe not to the extent that we do, but to a certain extent. You're driving along in your car and you just got to hear this song, you know, like whatever, Funky Town. You know, you just driving along, you got to hear that song. You know, now you can just bring it up on your phone, right? Back in the day, you had to go in and like find the disc and whatever else. And like now, if you walk in anywhere and look for anything other than a record that just came out, or at the most someone's greatest hits, no one's going to have it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you take a band like Aerosmith's got 16 or 17 studio records. Good luck finding that on physical media anywhere.
I forgot to mention that too before, is that my mom was hugely into Aerosmith, and that's how I was first introduced to them, was from her.
Yeah.
She had a bunch of their records.
Aerosmith is, we just talked about this a little bit last night, which I'll circle back to last night in a second, but we talked about this last night. One thing about Aerosmith is generally, unless you got into them into the 90s, Aerosmith either ended for you in 1979 or began in 1980. Yeah. Like, there's no in the middle. You either love their 70s stuff or their 80s, and that's it.
For the longest time, I didn't realize that they were such an old band, that they'd been around for such a long time. I had no clue.
Someone will correct me on this, but I want to say their first record came out in 71.
Yeah. And it's
70 or 71.
A lot of their old music are songs that everyone knows, but I had no idea that they were that old, like at all.
You got to remember, when I was, like, again, to circle back to hearing Run DMC and being the first person in the family into music, the first time I heard Aerosmith was on Run DMC Raising Hell. I heard Walk This Way and thought, well, that's a badass Run DMC song, and almost got kicked out of the car by my sister, you know, who was like, not a Run DMC song. You know, I was like, but it's right here on this Run DMC album, you know. And Aerosmith was on life support at the time, and that's what brought him back. What year are we looking at here? 73, okay. All right, well, still.
Yeah.
You know, wow, they were super productive in their early years, because they had the debut record, Get Your Wings, and Toys in the Attic all came out by 75.
I think the first...
Toys in the Attic is, by the way, might as well be called Aerosmith's Greatest Hits Volume 1.
Yeah.
Sweet Emotion, Walking the Dog, Uncle Salty, Walk This Way. Like, that record's ridiculous.
The one record that I recall being in the CD rack at my house was Pump.
Oh, yeah.
And only because
crazy underrated record.
It stuck out because it had the cow with the nipple and the nipple ring in it.
Oh, that's Get a Grip. That's right after Pump.
See? I'm fucking up here.
Pump, I think, is a better record. Pump's with the two pickup trucks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the cover.
So both of them then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pump, the fun story about the cover art on Pump is that when it's the two pickup trucks and being so inclined, and Joe Perry, who has been to hell and back, done more cocaine than anybody on earth, and done world's most questionable things backstage, was concerned when his mom was going to see the cover art for Pump. He was like, I don't want my mom to see that, you know, which is crazy to me, you know. But anyways, Get a Grip is a fantastic record as well. But if you go and you talk to someone who was an Aerosmith fan in the 70s and you mention Get a Grip, you're going to get punched. Like, they're going to be like, not my Aerosmith. You know?
And only so being going back to how we consume music now, most of it's digital, and 90% of it's digital. But I only started to discover that Aerosmith was an old band because of all of their music being digital. So I could go all the way back and listen to their stuff that was made in the 70s. And like, oh, okay, this is where it came from.
And that's a great point. I think that a lot of people wouldn't have thought of that before. Like, even in, quote, the glory days of CDs, unless you walked into, and this is really regional here, but, you know, Harmony House or whatever, they wouldn't stock their whole catalog, even in the glory days of CDs. So you could probably go in there and to you, Aerosmith is, well, you know, why does this band have 4 greatest hits albums right here? When they have 3 albums. But yeah, that's a great thing where you can go into digital. And I don't have anything against streaming, but from an artist standpoint, it's just crushing the industry. just crushing the industry, you know. And I've never been one that says just because you provide me art means you get a mansion, you know. But also you should be able to sustain a living.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah,
that's
you know,
no different than us going to whatever job that we have. That is literally their job.
And the thing that's changed is the pay structure.
Yeah,
when you used to be good enough at what you do to gain the attention of millions of people, there was a pay structure in place. Now, that song gets played over and over and over, and you're getting 14 cents. You know, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it ends up being a twofold problem. You have number one. It's harder for artists to really break and commit to it and get to that level, get to, to really break. And then on the back end is, once your band breaks, and a perfect example I can think of this is the band Fun. When Some Nights came out, before it broke, I saw them at St. Andrews Hall. For those who aren't local, it's 500-seater, probably something like that, 500-600 people. It's small. And we saw them there for $15. In the meantime, Some Nights breaks, becomes huge. Next time they come through town, I can't get in the door for under 110.
Yeah.
You know, and that's before you think of the ridiculousness involved in these VIP packages for these bands now.
Oh, yeah.
And they have the nerve to have quote-unquote VIP packages that are $1,500 that put you in, the first 10 rows, and you don't even get to meet the band and whatever. Now, so I don't sound like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. That's ridiculous for the fans, right? But that's that band making their money because they can't make it on through the normal means.
Yeah, they have to use other channels now to be able to make the same revenue that they did before.
Right.
And that involves ripping off the fans more.
Right.
In some way or another.
Yeah. So instead of, whatever we'll call it, big box music records paying that band $1,500, every fan is.
Yeah. And we get to listen to as much music as we want for $10 a month on whatever streaming service we decide to use. But in return, we have to go and pay $70 for, whatever merch we want at the venue, or $150, $200, $500 to go to some VIP, whatever, sit in the first 10 rows, any of that kind of stuff.
I'm never paying to meet anyone, ever.
Me either.
Period. Like, I don't care who it is. Like, when Jesus says it's come back tour, I'm not paying to meet him. Like, I'm just not. But I get that some artists or some fans, that's important for them, for some artists or whatever else. But I have such an issue with the fact that some of these VIP things don't even include that. Like, you can't give someone, 15 minutes of your time for that.
You don't meet the actual person. You just get to... You pay
for... I wouldn't pay for that. I just don't understand not offering that.
Right.
So... but the main point, and I'm not going to go on about it right now, but, there's one thing that one phrase that I hate is the quote-unquote the vinyl comeback. It's been happening for 15 years now. It's probably okay to stop calling it a comeback or say that it's happening. Like, it's over a decade and a half now that vinyl's been quote unquote coming back. So I don't even want to hit on that too much. But my question is, that's not sustainable. Eventually, we're going to move away. Like, it's going to go away again. But how sustainable is the model we have now?
Yeah, Corey Taylor, lead singer of Slipknot and Stone Sour and so on.
15 other bands.
Yeah.
And he also guests on everyone's tracks.
Yeah. Author. He does everything you can imagine.
Yeah, smart dude, too.
Yeah, great guy. He just came out saying something about YouTube and their streaming numbers as far as what they get paid per streams. It's something like $300 per 1 million streams.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
If you're unless you're an entertainer on YouTube or whatever, and you're getting hundreds of millions of views,
it's not sustainable.
Seeing your video getting viewed 3-4 million times, you're making like $1,200, or $1,500. Who's getting? And the record label gets 3/4 of what you're getting off that, anyways.
Yep.
It's not that right there is not sustainable at all.
Yeah, and it's never been, but it's been in different ways, and by this has never been sustainable, and artists have always been getting the raw deal on this. Anybody listening that wants to Google the finances of TLC.
Oh yeah,
and talk about when you hear about these artists who used to be making millions of dollars. Google that group. They're specifically their financial situation. It's a case study in how a system that was broken in the 60s only enhanced itself over and over and over until the 90s. And here we are now, where now all of that money is shifted to the fans to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can go back to all the stuff with a majority of the boy bands that came out, too.
Yeah.
They made no money.
Yeah.
Being the biggest act on Earth, made no money.
Yep.
The entire time.
Yep. The only boy band I can think of, and I'm probably going to irritate people when I say this, but look it up. They can be considered a boy band. I think the only boy band who ever made a significant impact on culture and grew out of the cycle was the Beatles. Like when they first came out, they were more or less
the first boy band.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they quickly grew out of that. Other than that, it's almost like the industry learned from them what not to do while the Beatles were learning what to do.
Yeah.
Because everything that the Beatles did to break out of the mold went into contracts. Like you can't do that going forward, which is kind of funny. So, but anyways, we don't know the answer. We don't profess to know the answer. There are many things I'm certain I know the answer about. This is not one.
There are better ways to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that way is, but there's better ways to do it.
There's definitely better ways to do it, and we'll get there. But and it's certainly a topic we can revisit in the future. We just wanted to kind of use this as a before. During an episode where we're having everybody get to know us, talk on something that's something everyone has an opinion on before we just start going, well, this is the best band of all time and you're dumb. So I thought that would be a good topic for us to go. So one thing that we do, and we have been doing it for years now because it is important to me to share music and make sure others are sharing music, is we do a music night. At least once a week, and the idea is, of course, we're going to listen to songs we love and things that we haven't heard in years, and it's usually an organic thing. But one of the biggest focuses of it for me is sharing music. Like I will become the A&R guy for these artists and play it for other people and have them listen to it, and have other people bring music to me. And this is what we talked about earlier. I can't stand when people say there's no good rock music, there's no good country music. If you want to say there's no good rock music while Parker Millsap is on the planet, you're wrong. If you want to say there's no good country music out there while Nathaniel Rateliff and the Lone Bellow are out doing their thing, giving you the same thing.
Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to get to Sturgill in just a second. Then you're not looking hard enough. But and that's what I was going to talk about with Sturgill Simpson. Is one of the most beautiful things that's come out of us doing that music night was when I heard of Sturgill Simpson, the article that I read about him did zero favors for him. As far as I just was like, I don't really, this does not sound like someone I could care about at all. I have a friend of mine who brought his third record to music night and just said, I love this and I want you to take a listen to it. It's almost the LP that launched 1,000 ships. Like I bought it immediately. Other people have. Almost every time someone comes to music night and even starts the phrase, I can't find any good music. That's one of the first things
Which
that gets
one was it?
Come out. Sailor's Guide to Earth. And it's funny because the thing that turned me off in the article was they were talking about him covering a Nirvana song, and the article was very flippant about it. And and I don't want to get too into detail about the record because I'm certain we're going to revisit this on the Best of Country or something along those lines. But the record is it's a concept album. It's a concept album for a country artist to do, which is crazy.
Concept albums give me a musical boner.
Oh boy! All right,
seriously.
Yeah. There's that sound check word again.
I love me a good concept album.
Well, then I need to speak to you about the good word of Pink Floyd because I got 15 of them. Anyways, so the record is, it's exactly what it says in the Sailor's Guide to Earth, and it's almost like a guidebook for his kid, for his newborn kid. And if you take the Nirvana cover in that context, it's fantastic the way that he did the song and the way it fits into the storyline of the record. Whereas this article had presented it to be, and it's a country guy trying to cover Nirvana, big deal. And so I kind of took the attitude of the article. I listened to the record, couldn't believe my ears. And now I would say, and no joke, at least once a month we sell a copy of that record to somebody new,
What's the album that came out before that?
I know for a fact that I'm going to have a friend of mine going to beat the hell out of me for not knowing. He had two before that.
Not to put you on the spot. The one directly before
he had two before that, and I don't know.
It's very much country as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I listened to that 2 weeks ago. Whatever.
He's got the two records before.
God, this is
the two records before Sailor's Guide are like Haggard Jones, like straight up. Let's see here, High Top Mountain, and then the one before that is the one I think.
Metamodern Sounds in Country Music.
That
is. I listened to that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and the song I'm going to play now is from Sailor's Guide to Earth, which is that third record, which is it's still country, but it's my god, it's R&B.
Yeah,
and I mean like straight rhythm and blues too.
What you said about what you read about music is half the time when I read anything about music, I'm just like bullshit.
Yeah.
So then I just go and listen to it myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that,
this either sucks or does not.
Yeah.
Man, you're giving me topics for the future, just because the music media.
Yeah.
And I'll very quickly recap this, but there are music publications who have been caught reviewing records without having heard the record.
Oh yeah.
And I'll save this for a future episode, but I can think of two examples. One of a record that got crazy good reviews that the critics hadn't even heard, and one that got completely trashed before it came out, and it was proven that the review copy never even made it to the headquarters of the magazine.
And that's bullshit.
Yeah, and they had the nerve to trash the record. So anyways, to bring it back to this, I do want to play this cut from Sturgill Simpson. This is not from his latest record. His latest record is Sound and Fury, which he reinvented himself again on. Sound and Fury is a record that came out, I think, 2 months ago now, and I'm still getting it.
It's totally different than any of his other stuff.
Speaking of which, and I don't know if you know this, I could be telling you this for the first time. Did you know that record was recorded like 30 miles from here?
Yeah, in a hotel room. Yes.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah, it's so. But the one we're going to play is a song that I think is my favorite song on Sailor's Guide to Earth. It's called "Keep It Between the Lines." It's rock, it's R&B, it's rap, or no, it's not rap, but it's country. It's everything in one song. A lot of horns.
It can be rap if you want it to be.
Yeah, well, depending on Sturgill's mood when he pronunciates the song, let me tell you what. That guy, I'll tell you what. So anyway, Sturgill Simpson, Keep Between the Lines. We'll be back in a minute. Please make sure to look this song up on your favorite streaming service, as it has been removed to avoid copyright issues. All right, we're back. Going to do a kind of a wrap up on this episode. I feel like I definitely rambled longer than I meant to, but hopefully the idea, the point of the episode got across. The idea behind the show is sharing a love of music. The intent of the show is to grow that love in other people. Maybe just from somebody hearing you talk about the No Way Out record and how much you listen to it, or whatever else, might look it up today and listen to it a bunch. Just say, oh my god, I forgot how much I love that, or whatever. That's the intent. We're going to shoot for a weekly episode. And try and get them out weekly going forward, which I think would be pretty cool. It's a supply and demand thing. The more people want to hear us ramble about music, the more episodes that we'll make.
We also want to hear what people think.
Oh, for sure.
What's going on?
For sure.
We want to interact with people.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah,
social media allows everybody to have an opinion.
If you want to talk shit, I'll talk shit back. It's fine. It's fine. No worries.
This hour of the music podcast brought to you by Hostility.
No.
Yeah. So, we've got plenty to talk about. We hope that we encourage people to look into new music, to look up their old favorites. If you like what we're talking about, make sure to look up that artist. Make sure to tell someone else about it, not just the podcast, but about that song that you love and why. I really do think we talked a little bit earlier about the system being broken and how it's on the fans now to pay a lot of what the music labels used to do, but I think that it is on the listener. And it's always been on the listener to a certain extent to give back to the artist by, if you hear a song that changes your life, tell someone about it. And get other people into it. As far as I go, I do want to say thank you to a whole lot of people. I'm not going to make a list specifically, but for example, when we got going today, you were like, holy cow, you've got all the equipment and everything to go for this, right? That's because I know a group of people who all chipped in and bought all of this.
I was thoroughly impressed walking down here today. I did not expect to see any of what's going on down here.
I have some folks that, this laptop I've had for a long time, but as far as like the mics and the mixing board and all of that, I know a group of people who wanted this to happen as much or more than I did, to where they all chipped in and bought all of this equipment for this to happen. So a massive thank you to those folks. You all are aware of who you are.
Yes, thank you.
I would assume if you chipped in on this equipment, you're probably going to listen to the first episode. So
yeah, let's hope so.
Those of you who are listening in, you know who you are. And the big thing too is, those folks bought that equipment a while back, and my big worry has been twofold. One, the copyright thing. I joked earlier about Thriller and the sales and whatnot, but, right here in the first episode, I'm going to try and use a Sony licensed song from one of the biggest album of all time, and we'll see how that goes. We already have some ways around that if we need to. So, for example, depending on when you're hearing this episode, you may hear me introduce a song that never happens, and then we have to edit it out of the episode. If we have to do that, we will, because on the same device you're listening to it, you can just go to Spotify and look up,
Yeah, or whatever, iTunes, whatever you use to whatever, get your music.
Nobody uses iTunes.
YouTube, whatever.
I'm just kidding. I may or may not have a thing against Steve Jobs. I was going to say Aaron Sorkin because I watched the Steve Jobs movie today, which is proof that Aaron Sorkin can make me watch anything, because I don't care about Steve Jobs at all, but Aaron Sorkin wrote it. So I'm like, well, now I care, I don't even care about this guy's life story, but I sure want to hear someone else say it,
Even without the music being included, if it can't be included, whatever, I really hope that people are going to come and listen to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk shit, whatever you want, everything.
Yeah.
Everything involved.
That's the idea. And certainly thank you to the both of you. Pretty much been stalled out for 2 years, just coming up with every excuse why not to do this, and you guys have given me every reason why to do this. And then I mentioned this at the top, but I do want to give a special mention and thanks to Ron Bubblefoot for his permission to use his music. When I spoke to him about it and said, hey, do you think I could use one of your songs or whatever else? He says, there's certain legal things you need to happen to be able to use that music. And he instantly wrote me an email with all the permissions I needed to be able to use his music.
That is amazing.
So, yeah, I'm happy to, to do that. Just by way of mentioning, because I haven't mentioned the actual names of the songs, the intro music for the show is a song called Clots by Bumblefoot. The outro music is the solo from a song called Don't Know Who to Pray To Anymore from Bumblefoot, and they're both on his latest solo LP, Little Brother Is Watching, which is on Spotify, but you can order it from bubblefoot.com and so on and so forth.
You should go and order it from bubblefoot.com and not listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You can catch up to Bumblefoot in one of the 14 different bands he's in. Yesterday, he just had his new record come out with Sons of Apollo. Anybody that might be going, where do I know that name from? If you're an older rocker, you saw him front Asia last summer. There was a period of time where you might have gone to a Guns N' Roses show and said, what the hell is a Bumblefoot? And there he was kicking ass with them on stage. So good guy, good music. And yeah, absolutely. Go to bumblefoot.com.
I didn't realize how much stuff he was involved in
it's
recently. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. An easy way to categorize it is everything.
Yeah.
He's involved.
He has a huge following.
Dude's got his own hot sauces. So, having said that, in the future, this is kind of dreaming big and speaking ambitiously, but, we'd love to talk to some of the artists we talk to. If anybody happens to hear this and you like or don't like something that we said, by all means, get a hold of us. We are in the infant stages of setting up accounts and things like that. For the immediate future, you can find us at Infectious Groove Pod is our Instagram. Infectious Groove Pod is our Instagram. You can shoot us an email at Infectious Groove podcast at gmail.com. Going forward, again, this is just in the infant stages right now, so there will be more for us to ways for you to comment. But I think if nothing else, having the Instagram where everybody can leave a comment is a good way to go.
We want to hear about what you guys thought about what we talked about, what you guys want us to talk about. Just interesting topics for anything that anyone would find interesting.
Yep. I don't really have anything catchy or a tagline for the show yet. We're going to work on that in the future. I don't have anything cool like keep your feet in the ground, keep reaching for the stars, or anything cool to say at the end. But again, thanks for everybody's time. We are going to wrap it up for the first episode, and we'll see you next time.